Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Duluth, Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida, Los Angeles, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets. Ladies and gentlemen, we have special guest in the house. Rob Schneider, actor, comedian, lover, screenwriter, director, stand-up comic, and veteran of Saturday Night Live. He has gone on to a successful career in feature films, including starring roles in the comedy films Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo, The Hot Chick, Grown Ups. His latest comedy special, Woke Up in America, is available on Fox Nation. And he also had the #1 movie in all of Latin America, most recently on Netflix. Please welcome to the show, Rob Schneider. Hey, Rob, how are you?
Thank you, man. How's everything going?
Good. Tell people about your movie going #1.
Well, that was a shock because, I don't know, for some reason, Netflix didn't want the movie in North America. So I put it on South America. They were happy to have it. And then it went #1 in every country that it went into. And they still haven't put it on in the United States. I don't know. Conservatives, I don't know. I think it has something to do with that.
Well, I wouldn't call you a conservative. I would call you
I know. I'm a traditional liberal, for crying out loud, just like you.
I'm reading your new book, and you talk about that with your new book. When does your new book come out?
September 24th.
Okay.
And, that's a pain in the ass to write a book, by the way. Jimmy.
Yeah, I wrote one once. I know. Yeah.
It took months, and then you have to research stuff, and then lawyers look at it.
Lawyers, yeah. Uh-huh.
It's 6,000 revisions. 6,000, well, counting each word.
I'll never forget the lawyer was like, well, how do you know that Joe Scarborough's an alcoholic? I go, no, that's just a joke.
Yeah. Well, jokes are tougher now. You know, I got people paying to see me, and they're still yelling out crap.
Well, here I want to show this. It says this is making the rounds on Twitter. I wanted to show people this. You got heckled. Someone wanted you to shut up recently after people at a what venue was this? Do you know?
Yeah, that was in Sarasota, Florida, which I thought was pretty safe. That's like the Switzerland of comedy.
Yeah, you would think. So someone yells at you to shut up, and you handle it very well. Let's play it. First of all, nice suit. I like that suit.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Everything okay? Are you mad? You okay?
No, he's not mad.
You're mad? That's okay. You know what the cool thing about it in America is? Free speech isn't the speech you like. Nice stuff's not what needs to be protected. It's the stuff that you hate that needs protection, so that somebody like the government or you doesn't get to decide what everybody else gets to hear. Okay? And you're more than welcome to disagree and write an act and get on stage and sell out like I just did.
That's such a great comeback. Hey, if you disagree with what I'm saying, write an act and come up here and rebut me.
Yeah, I know. But it is funny, though, that people feel as if that's some form of debate, yelling at someone and shouting them down. And I think there's been a bad example that's happened. Something happened. I think some people's brains broke. You know, like in the NFL, where now if somebody gets a dinger, before nobody cared back in the 70s,
Yes.
80s, and 90s. But now if you get a dinger, they take you into the blue tent. So I think for some liberals, they have to go into the blue tent and just check and then come out again.
It is in Florida of all places.
Yeah, you would think. I thought that was the Switzerland for comedy, where it was, certainly was for COVID, where even the Democratic politicians would go there, like AOC would go there to party on the weekend, without masks and stuff. And then, just stupidly not thinking that people were going to take pictures of her and put it on the internet.
And people paid, like, that's not you just wandering into a club. Like in Hollywood, you wander into the Laugh Factory or the Flappers or the Improv. That's not you just wandering into a club. That's people paid on purpose to come hear what you had to say. And that person there also paid. And they wanted, that's so wild to me.
And I give a warning now before the shows. I give if you are trapped in your political echo chamber, if hearing ideas separate than your own may cause your emotional collapse, which most of it was written by John Cleese of Monty Python, the great, comedy icon. He wrote it for me because I told him this was happening, and it did remind me of like Sam Kinison in the mid '80s, where I saw people paying to see him to get up and walk out as if making a statement. And I remember like, wow, that was odd. But I do think that it is some form of strange comedic protest that I don't know if other art forms people get this upset. Just a series of words strung together, and I do think it doesn't bode well for society and for debate and for the idea of intellectual exchange of ideas.
To say the least. Yeah, I agree.
And it also fucks up the show.
I remember I was on stage in Portland. This is probably like 2018. And, because I was a Democrat my whole life and the Democrats cheated Bernie, I felt like they personally cheated me too. And so my ire was never really, since 2016, has always been for the Democratic Party because they lied to me, they cheated me, and they asked me for my vote and then shamed me when I wouldn't give it to them. The Republicans didn't ever ask anything for me. I never voted for them. I had much more interest in making fun of Democrats. And I was doing a show at the Alberta Rose Theater, and obviously this was someone who had been brought there or given tickets by the owner of the venue, right? So they always have their own set of tickets that they keep, that they give to people. And this guy just started screaming at me, "Why are you making fun of the Democrats? You should be making fun of the fascists and making fun of the..." And I'm like, dude, this, you don't get, first of all, you don't get to do this. If you don't like what I'm saying, you could there's no glue on your ass. Get the fuck out of here. And exactly, if you got something that you want to say, write an act. Come on up, write an act. But anyway, I don't.
There seems to be this sense that happened, and I think you saw the turnover of it, and I would say comedians are more keenly aware of it than that I would say, because of the potential conflict and being able to perform and the immediate response. It used to be when you disagreed with somebody, there would be some tacit admittance that there can be a contrary opinion, and now it's just has devolved into, if you disagree, you are a horrible person.
Yeah.
Now a judgment on you, and you are in some sort of cultural purgatory. That's what I'm sensing from that, and also the sense that anyone who thinks they're 100% right and that their side is infallible, that is a deep structural problem in their and shows that they're being indoctrinated and not open to at least having some of their foundational thinking questioned. And I mean, that's what my whole book's about, is just, let's discuss your foundational thinking and let's keep it open to, what really, I mean, how lucky we were to grow up in the 70s. I mean, that was the best. That Jimmy Carter's administration was such under siege that it created, this freedom of ideas, and everybody wanted to be silly after the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
It ended up being a bitchin' time to be alive and being a teenager, So, not today.
Democrats used to say things like, "I'm tolerant of everything." They used to preach tolerance, and they would say, "I'm tolerant of everything except intolerance."
Yeah.
Which now it's the exact flip. Now they're intolerant of everything.
Well, it also, what has also flipped is that there is a structure now where the Democrats have been in control so long. And now, like any authoritarian or any power that is extended past its peak, it becomes authoritarian and it becomes abusive and corrupted. And if you just take, it's Justin Trudeau, who I would beg to say would be always corrupt in his administration. But I would say that it needs to have its leaves shaken. And what I think needs to happen is we're only allowed to have two parties, That's it. That's what the global elites will allow. But we need to have a functional Democratic Party. I mean, just the fact that we're even considering that the Republican Party could somehow be the voice of the people now shows how far the Democratic Party has strayed. So how do we return the Democratic Party to a more normal party that isn't just a power grab, sensorial, attacking, using the Justice Department to go after their political opponents? How can we do that? And the only way to do that is to kick them out of power. But they're so entrenched now. I mean, who knows how many, van loads of ballots will show up at 3:00 in the morning. But I think they have to get trounced so that you know, for 3 successive, at least the executive. And I'm not saying that the Republicans are you know, the only answer. They have great answers for it. They need to get trounced, the blue monster, like 3 times in a row, the executive, so that they'll have to regroup and be like what Bill Clinton was. Remember pro-death penalty Bill Clinton?
Bill Clinton.
We're for the death penalty.
Pro-death penalty, anti-worker, anti-welfare, pro-cop.
Oh.
Deregulated Wall Street, deregulated the media corporate. He was a right winger's wet dream. I mean,
He was the successor to all the to everything that the Democrats would have opposed in the 1970s.
Yes, well, like so what happened was Reagan scared the hell so much out of the Democrats, they became them. They're like, well, if you can't beat them, join them. And so when he became president, he actually got stuff done that for the corporations that George Herbert Walker Bush couldn't get done. NAFTA was a big one, right? Because the Blue Dog Democrats wouldn't go along with George Bush on NAFTA. And then Bill Clinton became president. He gave them cover to do it. So now we got NAFTA and it cut the legs out from underneath the unions for a generation, right?
It did. And I don't think people truly understand what NAFTA is and what it does. NAFTA was a globalist idea that was somehow portrayed as going to be good for America and good for workers and good for Mexico.
Yeah.
And what it did is it undercut. Just to give you one example of the abuses, because we can go into this, and that's another episode we could do. But to give you just one idea, the NAFTA superseded our own and Mexico's sovereignty for its own rules. So when there was a company that was polluting into the Rio Grande, which was poisoning people in Mexico, the Mexican government sued, took it to the courts, and lost because NAFTA had superseded. And so the people there didn't matter. And the poisoned people there were allowed, the company was still allowed to continue to poison people there. And so that's what happens with this this globalist agenda. There are always these big plans, but it really was a further erosion of human rights and the welfare of workers, the welfare of people in those areas, and it degraded the human condition. And I think that's something that is not the specifics of these policies need to be really examined so that people could look at it and how it affects human beings, because ultimately the human condition, and you and I would agree on this, is the most important thing in the world, is increasing and bettering the human condition, not worsening it. And these are the things that worsen it.
And Bill Clinton went on to then explode the prison population with the crime bill written by Joe Biden at the same time. So he explodes the prison population at the same time he gutted welfare. And then he was going to get rid of Social Security and privatize it, but which I know from Thomas Frank in his book Listen Liberal. And what stopped it was the scandal over the BJ he got. So thank God for Monica Lewinsky and that BJ, because it saved Social Security. But he did get to deregulate Wall Street, repeal the what is that? Now I'm blanking on the name of the act he repealed. And then it crashed Wall Street and the economy within a decade.
Well, what started with Reagan was the deregulation, so that the banks didn't have, banks were happy to get 3% profit on their money.
Right. Yes.
And the fact that they were able to open the floodgates and you no longer had to hold any percentage of monies. And that, if you had to hold 10%, which I believe was the regulation back under the Carter administration, once that floodgates were opened and they could put as much money as they wanted. I think it was down to 3% that they had their holdings. And then they could really invest and do whatever they wanted. Then it was just a matter of time before that abuse exploded the system. And so we're just waiting again for the next implosion. And I believe that next implosion is not that far away. I think the next monetary implosion, I would say, was in the next 48 months. We're going to see a complete, utter meltdown. And that will be, the reaction to that will be more authoritarianism.
Yes.
Authoritarianism. And we're going to see, my friend was talking about this, Dr. David, I'm blanking on his name now, but we have a really interesting talk. And it really is the only chapter that I was not allowed to put in my book.
Really?
Yeah, Dr. David Martin.
That's it.
And-
I had him on my show. That guy's a mind blower.
He's a mind blower, and he talks about he believes that there's going to be the meltdown will be a zapping of the financial system, as you saw a mini zap a couple of weeks ago,
Yep.
where things got shut down. I think it's that, according to David, these are just test runs for the big zapping of the financial system, where they'll have to go down to zero. And how will society, and we can see society starting to fray. And when you go, it's 5 days. That's the estimate before people start, when you cut off food at grocery stores, when all society breaks down. I mean, is this something that I don't want to happen? Is it something that's a possibility? I would say that the more that we continue to print money endlessly, the more that we are putting ourselves in a position where the government's going to do something crazy. And he's saying that they're going to zap the financial system and blame China, Iran, Russia, as they're the ones who did it. And then you kind of start from zero, and that $35 trillion just goes away, as does all your money and everything in the bank. So that's a pretty extreme, crazy thing. But he's a doctor. I'm not. I'm just relaying. And anyway, I wasn't allowed to put that one in the book.
Well, so I'm putting a lot of my money in gold and Bitcoin.
Get some groceries, get a farm. I mean, like 3 things for survival if this shit does hit the fan. The 3 things that makes civilization possible. 3, nutrition, clean water, clean food, socialization, have a group of people going somewhere, getting enough food, whatever. And then sanitation, make sure that the guy coming that's cleaning out whatever, your septic tank or whatever, make sure he still stays in business. Those are the 3 things that are, when the shit hits the fan. So it's just what this is food for thought. People, it's not like these. I remember laughing at these, the people who were like these hiding and building bunkers. But when you have Mark Zuckerberg building a bunker and painting his roof blue, I go, wait a minute, he must know something.
He must know something. Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Duluth, Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida, Los Angeles, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.